You've heard the term before, or maybe you've seen the acronym FLR. This is not an abbreviation for flower, my pet. It stands for female-led relationship. And that is what we are discussing today. What does it actually mean? What does an FLR look and feel like? And why is it the only option for me personally going forward? Hello, my pets, and welcome into The Dungeon, the podcast for submissives to learn, grow, be entertained, and to ultimately find empowerment in their lifestyle. I'm your host, Kat Nash, the Music City Dominatrix, and today we are exploring the topic of female-led relationships. This was inspired by a good friend who posed the question to me on FetLife. What exactly is a female-led relationship? And I'm excited to talk about it today because I think that if more people actually understood this dynamic, there'd be a fuckload more women willing to take on the role as lead in a relationship. Now, I want to remind you that I curse a lot in my podcast. If that offends your delicate sensibilities, you may want to rethink being here. Or if you just find it harsh, you could lighten that vibe for yourself and use it as a game. Every time I curse, you get spanked by your partner or yourself. Or you could listen to this episode on your knees, and with every curse word, you bow and say a mantra. My favorites are, "Thank you for allowing me to serve," or "I live to serve my goddess." Or you could use it as a way to better yourself. 5 jumping jacks or 5 push-ups every single time if you know you need to get in better shape. Or chug water every time I say something. Find something that works for you because I'm gonna fucking cuss, babe. And like everything in life, what you do with it, your perspective, is everything. And one more thing before I get into this episode. I was getting several emails a week from my foreign listeners, and I just realized that I think it's been a couple of months since I've gotten even one. And I'm wondering if my podcast is being restricted outside the US. I don't know what, if anything, I could do about that, but I am just extremely curious if that's what's going on. So, if you are a listener in another country outside the US, could you do me an enormous favor and either post in the comments where you're from or drop me an email to just let me know that you are in fact still getting the episodes? I would greatly appreciate it. Like I said, it's just for my curiosity, and my email is thewildcreatrix@gmail.com. So, now back to our regularly scheduled program, female-led relationships. This term is both self-explanatory and puzzling. It is exactly how it sounds. The female is the one who gets to dictate what the relationship looks like. She decides what tasks, duties, the role really of the male. And as always, I know that I use the terms male, female, femdom, sub in this podcast in typically female dominant, submissive male terminology. I know that that does not encompass the entirety of my listeners, and it's literally just for my ease and in no way indicative of my personal beliefs or preferences, or not trying to exclude anyone. I hope that you understand that, and I apologize if at any time it feels exclusionary or insensitive. That's absolutely not my intention. I love you all. So just plug your personal pronouns and relationship dynamics in. So back to it. The female-led relationship. We know basically what it is. It's a relationship that the female dictates. Okay, so now what does that look like exactly? Well, it looks exactly like she fucking wants it to. There's no way for me to describe to you exactly what your female-led relationship is going to look like because it's up to the woman leading. Something that I cannot emphasize enough is that women are extremely dynamic, diverse beings, diverse from each other, and also wildly varying within ourselves based upon which hormones are pumping through us that time of the month. In the past, women have so often been labeled or called crazy because of our moods. But nowadays, thank you to science, we know that it is literally varying hormones that flood our bodies at various times of the month that greatly impact not just our moods, but our physical energy levels, our mental acuity, and even things like our physical attractiveness to others, and naturally our horniness. Males likely cannot even begin to fathom this because their hormone cycle is 24 hours, as opposed to females being about a 28-day cycle. So think about this for a second. The intensity of the hormone production that is allowed to develop and increase and change and vary in 28 days, the fluctuation in the masculine is fractional and minuscule in comparison. And I understand that this can seem like a lot for a guy to try to grasp and vibe with at first. But once you try to learn and begin to understand your femdom's cycles, the rewards in your relationship will be infinite. And honestly, there's a very good chance that the female doesn't even know about and understand her cycles herself. It's not something that we're really taught in school. It's not something that you've been told, hey, this is something that you need to learn and know. And science is just recently being able to understand and more fully understand what exactly happens with these fluctuating hormones in a woman's body. So she likely isn't that familiar with it herself, but it will be very rewarding if you begin to learn and study this. So what the femdom desires her relationship to look like is going to be extremely individualistic. My friend who posed the question about female-led relationships asked, well, does that mean the guy does all the work? And my answer is maybe. But it's highly unlikely that a dynamic like that would last very long. Some men love the physical labor. They love cleaning. They love cooking. And a good match for them would be a femdom who really doesn't like any of these things and doesn't care to do them ever again. In other words, me. They would be a good match for me. To better illustrate what I mean by how individualistic an FLR can be, I'm going to give you a couple examples of different ones based loosely on people that I know and dynamics I've seen. And I'll use myself as the first example. My FLR dynamic feels very much like a boyfriend-girlfriend situation, yet he also serves me. I don't live with him, but if I did, he would do all the cleaning. I mean, I naturally pick up stuff as I go along, but that would be his responsibility. He provides all of our meals together, either by cooking, we go to restaurants, or takeout. He always brings me coffee in bed every morning that I'm there and presents it with flair because I like dramatics, you know. He opens doors for me. He does extra chores and errands for me if I ask it. We have protocols in place, like having a warm towel handy when I get out of the shower. There is a welcoming protocol when I first see him. And when he fails at a required task, you know, there should always be some sort of repercussions for erroneous behavior or failure, you know. For us, he forwards me a tribute. We decided that the tribute was the best method of punishment for us because I don't give physical punishments when I'm in a negative headspace. And my innate instinct when I'm disappointed is to just disconnect and pull away. So neither of those options are really good options for us. And him sending a tribute is something that immediately shifts my vibe because receiving money from men is literally a kink of mine. And it's something that gives a little ouch to him without being directly psychological, like punishments or admonishments or nagging, all of which I would have a tendency to do. And all of those things actually put me in an even lower vibrational state, even in a worse mood, and likely would lead him to eventually feel resentment, So the monetary punishment is something that we found that works for us. Another aspect of our female-led relationship is that his orgasms belong to me. He is obviously off of porn for forever, but he also doesn't jerk off. We do have sex, actually, but he usually doesn't orgasm, only when I tell him to. So he's gotten great at edging, which I highly recommend any guy to do if he wants to be a better lover. It's one of the biggest keys to being a good lover is being able to hold off on orgasm. So edging is great practice for that. What else does he do? So his job is also to chauffeur me when I want it, which is not very often, but I also don't like driving at night in the rain. So that's usually one of the times. Essentially, in our relationship, I dictate what our time together feels like. He has tasks and expectations, but once he assimilates these tasks into our time together, it becomes like a habit. And it just feels like our dynamic just feels like a best friend lover that's immensely satisfying to me because I feel respected and honored. And our time together feels very relaxing. To my partner, he enjoys the dynamic because there are less decisions. And I'm going to get more into this later because it really is the key. But he loves it for various reasons. Some of the protocols turn him on, like the greeting protocol, because it immediately sets the mood and reminds us of each of our roles in the relationship. Me, the exalted goddess, him, the warrior submissive. The tasks like the warm towel, providing meals, massages if I want it, these things, the things that aren't specifically kinks of his and require his energy for my benefit, they become like second nature to him. And he feels happy and has a stronger sense of self-worth by being able to make me happy or to make aspects of my life easier. The sexual restrictions were something that he enjoys because it's a turn on for him to know that I dictate that area of his life. It orients him to me. Like I am the sun that decides to shine on him with orgasm. I am the focus. Men who thrive in a FLR are ones who like a woman who knows what she wants. I do feel like I'm a woman who knows what she wants, but also what I want is going to change a lot. But the basics remain. And that ultimately is what draws men to female-led relationships and how couples can find the most satisfaction in any dynamic ever, because FLRs mean less decisions for the submissive. And no, this is not laziness. We can circle back around to the facts I was spitting about women's hormonal cycles. We're moody creatures, but having clear expectations creates less uncertainty. Excellent communication is required. And yes, it may feel exhaustive at first when you're structuring the dynamic and figuring it out and adjusting what works and what doesn't work for you guys. I highly, highly recommend putting protocols, expectations, and goals in writing, someplace visible, especially for the first few months. But what you'll find is the deepest, most rewarding, satisfying relationships where both partners feel honored, seen, and respected. Now, my friend asked, does the man do all the work? I'm quoting him now. Does the man do all the work? I see women list all these demands of men, but I don't see what they're willing to bring to the table. And frankly, they seem unreasonable and way too much maintenance. End quote. So I took this question to an FLR submissive, and he said that he gets a lot of satisfaction from making his partner happy. The expectations of what she wants are clear. And if you're looking at it from like a reciprocal standpoint, he receives love, passion, feelings of being cared for, friendship, companionship. It's really the same benefit that you get out of a normal, healthy, vanilla relationship, but the expectations on how to make her very happy are clear. And the dynamic has just a spicier flavor than a traditional partnership. It's just hotter, right? If thinking about doing these tasks or having clear, precise, laid out expectations in your dynamic sounds exhausting or demeaning in any way, then you are probably not going to thrive in a female-led relationship. It's not for you, and that's totally fine also. So let's look at a couple other examples of what a female-led relationship could look like. One couple I know shares tasks and chores, so it's not one or the other, equally share tasks and chores around the house. However, the man is responsible for cleaning and preparing their BDSM play space and for cleaning up afterwards. They have weekly femdom BDSM sessions. That's a very active part of their relationship. The submissive regularly, like daily, gives her massages. That's just part of their life now. He gives her a massage. He assists her in extra tasks and projects she might have. He also works. I'm not actually sure if she works, but they do not really have much traditional sex at all, but there is pegging and regular oral worship for her. While they are friends and partners, their relationship is very hierarchical. He treats her with reverence and exalts her in his every thought and task. This is a man who has a true submissive heart, and he would feel totally untethered without a femdom. He feels like his entire life purpose is to support and empower his partner. This is someone who would feel extremely uncomfortable and unfulfilled in a typical vanilla relationship. Like that would probably feel horrible to him, you know? He's a very successful man out in the world, but it's very clear in his life to him, his wife, everyone, that she is the boss, and that's how he likes it. That's how they both like it. Another example of a female-led relationship is another married couple. In this case, the wife is very career-driven and successful. The man is also successful. The woman, she travels a lot. She keeps her husband in chastity. For these two, the female-led aspect is predominantly a sexual. I mean, it's the energy of their whole relationship, but they obviously connect and are friends in order to be married, but they also both have very independent, individual lives and interests and friendships outside of the marriage. Their relationship is extremely sexual. She cuckolds him, she feminizes him, and she does impact and pegging. Their relationship is very sexually charged and spicy. The submissive is in a near constant state of being turned on, and the wife is empowered by having such control and power over the marriage and in the marriage. And this control over his orgasms and their intense sexuality also bleeds out into anything she wants. He'll provide for her, you know, but she is very independent and career driven herself. So it's not like she's having, if she wants him to do tasks, he's going to do tasks, but they don't have a bunch of protocols set up around that sort of thing. So as you can see, there are many variations and far more than just outlined possible in a female-led relationship. Aspects of her control could be sexual. This could mean she always initiates, or she dictates orgasm, or if it's abstinence, maybe it means he has to always give her oral on command, or maybe it's that he always plays a role to her. It could even mean that he pulls her hair, spanks her butt, and makes her take it like a good girl. And while this may be shocking to some of you to think about that sort of sexual dynamic in a female-led relationship, it shouldn't be shocking by now, because as mentioned before, a female-led relationship is one that the female decides what it looks like. If she wants to bend over and take it like a good girl, and that's how she wants to get off, then that's how they're going to do it, right? And I want to be clear, as I'm saying this, that a female-led relationship should still respect the basic rules of communication and consent. The guy has to consent to the dynamic. He's got to consent to all the rules and the aspects. It's not literal slavery, okay? It's a consensual relationship in which the woman dictates certain agreed upon aspects of the dynamic. It's not one size fits all. So some are highly ritualized. Some are deeply erotic. Others could be emotional. Some are more lifestyle based. The different structure aspects could include household leadership. So who does the chores? When do you split it? Is he in charge of it? What are the standards for them? Who does the meals? Who runs the errands? These are all aspects that she could dictate or not. She might be like, no, it's too much work. I don't want to. He does a shitty job with dishes and I like doing it. Or I'd prefer to have the maid do it. It could be whatever she fucking wants. It could include bedtime and wake up schedule. Like I've done this for submissives in the past. If they've got shitty sleep schedules, I know how much that impacts every single aspect of your life. So you bet your ass that I expect them to go to bed at a good time and wake up early in the morning to get shit done. Like that's just part of something that I do. It could be something like home decor decision. Like I want to decide what the house looks like. This is naturally for people who live together. Social etiquette, household rules, pet care responsibilities, maintenance responsibility, technology usage. That's a big one. How often do they get to be on the phone? Do they get to play video games? There are so many aspects that are potentially consensually controllable there, right? Quiet hours or daily routines. Another aspect, a different aspect, is financial leadership. And like I said, all of these things that I'm mentioning are different aspects that are potentially controllable. This doesn't mean that, I'm going to be a female in a female-led relationship and I have to dictate all these things. Or to a submissive, now that I'm in a FLR, my femdom is going to decide all of these things for me. No. That would be so fucking exhausting just to even put that thought out there. No, these are just ideas of areas that if she wants control over it for whatever her personal reason is, these are possible areas and aspects. Financial leadership, budgeting, spending limits, allowance systems, savings goals, investment decisions, bill management, financial transparency agreements, career direction. Yeah, that's one. Household goals. Then there's also personal development. She could have fitness expectations, reading requirements, journaling assignments, therapy or coaching encouragements, meditation homework, skill building goals. I want my man to study up on how to give a good fucking massage. That's me personally. You're going to watch some YouTube videos. If you can go to massage school, even fucking better. But I don't want no watery, limp wrist massage doing nothing but pissing me off and making me more stressed. Okay? So studying massage is one of those. Time management expectations could be another one. Habit tracking, goal setting, confidence building exercises, emotional regulation exercises if it's needed. So there's also role structuring. Who leads socially? Who dictates their social life? Who makes the final decisions in their decision making? How is conflict handled? What are the emotional expression expectations? And I can straight up say that most often we're going to need the guy to be a little bit more emotionally in touch with themselves and learn how to communicate their emotions better. What are the communication rules? Are there service-oriented behaviors, rituals of respect or devotion? Another aspect is behavioral standards, manner and etiquette, tone of voice, accountability practices, honesty expectations. For me, I expect not just honesty, but transparency, which is honesty on fucking steroids. Screen time limitations, like I already said, porn boundaries, behavior, the behavioral standards. Another aspect that the female may want authority over is intimacy dynamics. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but restrictions, maybe positions. Like, no, I don't ever want to do reverse cowgirl. don't even try to do that, like whatever it is. Or I always want him on top. I want him giving it to me while I can enjoy the sensations of taking it, So the act of sex itself, when, how often, what's it like? How does the woman like it? She may want to dictate appearance and presentation, clothing styles, grooming. Does he get a beard or not? And what are those pubes like, She may choose his cologne, his underwear style, because not everybody likes you in those Mowgli looking tighty whities, boys. Maybe posture expectations. And these are just some areas that some femdoms might begin looking at and dictating. They can change over time. I mean, some might not work. Some things she might find are more work than they're worth, or they aren't as satisfying as she thought they would be. But your dynamic is going to be deeply individualistic based upon both of you. But it is ultimately wildly rewarding because women are actually amazing leaders. This doesn't mean that she has to make every fucking decision. How exhausting. But she does get to dictate the decisions that she wants to make. And I do want to say that in order for this to work, you have to have trust. I mean, there has to be immense trust in the femdom. So she's got to be somebody that is trustworthy. But she decides the vibe of their relationship and picks some areas of their dynamic or of their life that she wants to take control over. And you start from there, incorporating these changes, living these rules. The dynamic can thrive when the woman is feeling seen, respected, honored, and empowered. And the submissive is no longer confused about how to be the best possible fucking partner. They have clear expectations and they feel relief from constant decision making. They feel grounded. They feel purposeful and calmer, more focused, more useful, more needed and chosen. They can feel more appreciated and relied upon. They begin to feel pride and devotion, and the deepening of intimacy cannot be understated. After experiencing the satisfaction possible in female-led relationships, I will never go back to traditional ones. For me, it's so much more satisfying. I truly feel safer and more empowered to create and uphold boundaries, which it's kind of seemingly paradoxical. It allows me to sink deeper, love more, and feel safer in my relationships. It's fucking empowering. There's no power struggle. There's less frustration for both of us. And it may be a little more work up front. Well, no baby about it. It is fucking more work up front. Establishing expectations, creating protocols, etc. But it's infinitely less frustrating down the road. There's not nagging. There's less disappointment. There's less arguing. Everything is just so much clearer. And both parties can just sink into themselves and their roles and each other. It's really awesome. And I wish more women would give it a chance. If you are a woman listener interested in taking the next step to discover and embody your personal dominant female self, I have an upcoming in-person class in Nashville in July. Info's on my website and linked below. It's stupidly cheap for the value and experience, but this is my first time teaching a small class, so I'm lowballing it. You're welcome. Check it out. You can also find all of my personal info and offerings on my website, www.cat-nash.com. I'll have more info on my super special secret Locktober offering coming up soon. Feel free to reach out and email me. My email is, again, thewildcreatrix@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me. Next week, it's going to be all about creating that contract that outlines your relationship. So be sure to tune in. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, stay kinky, my pets.